Hey guys, it's your boy, Ballface8020, back again with another great commentary. Well, this isn't really a commentary, this is more of like a story time thing. I just want to I don't know what's the deal is, but I've been getting a lot of questions about this shirt. I don't understand it. It seems like a pretty normal shirt to me. This is the shirt of like the minor league baseball team for Richmond. I was there, I don't know, like 5 years ago. I can't remember why. I was there. No, I remember why. It was for work, but why did I buy the shirt? That I don't remember. I don't remember why I got it, but that's the only reason. It's not like I'm a fan of the team or anything like that. I don't like baseball, so um, I don't even know if they're AAA or AA. I don't even know what the team's name is, and I don't even really like the shirt. I have no idea why I got it. Um, the I don't get it. The only thing I can think of is I might have gone into the store looking for something else and then felt stupid to just walk out without anything, so I bought the shirt anyway because that's definitely the kind of thing I would have done back then. Okay, get to the story. I'm assuming nobody's going to be really interested in this because, but I don't know. I'm interested in it, and I guess that's kind of like my channel is kind of like about that. It's mostly like stuff that I think is interesting, and then maybe some other people feel the same way. And for some videos that is the case, and some videos that obviously isn't. This is probably going to be an isn't because it's mostly just about me. So talk about this. I call it the curse of 3 weeks because I can't think of what else to call it. This has like been a recurring theme with me, which is that like the overwhelming majority of jobs that I have, I either get fired or quit at the 3 week mark. It's not all of them, but it's like an insane amount. So you know, I'm just not very good at holding jobs. I I would rather starve to death than be at a job that I'm unhappy with. So I'm very quick to quit jobs. Like if I feel like this isn't working out, I'm gonna quit, or this is making me miserable, I'm gonna quit. Because the thing is, it's like mentally, I just can't deal. I get stressed and overwhelmed, and I just can't deal. Um, so I think we should start back to like when did this 3 week thing start? Because it wasn't always like this. The first few jobs I had, I held for a pretty long time. Now, don't get me wrong, I got fired from playing. I quit a job. Like I used to have a job driving. You know that like machine on the driving range, the truck with like the cage around it that picks up the golf balls on the driving range. That was, I think, the first job I ever quit. And then I quit that for a job that I would then get fired for, but I fired in. But I worked at that job for a while. I was there for like 2 months. The job that I had after that, I was working at a fitness center. But the whole quitting after 3 weeks thing, I think it started when I had this job as like, I don't know what to call it other than just a pretzel maker. Like I worked at this pretzel shop, and I wasn't the guy who like kneaded the dough and like and put them into pretzel shapes. Although I did do that sometimes. We had an illegal immigrant come in and do that. But I was the guy who then salted and baked the pretzels. You had to like to pick them up, stick it in brine, salt it, and then there would be six things in the oven. So I would have like trays going in and out all day long, and there would be other pretzel things like there. And then so I'd be making the pretzels, working the counter, doing pretzel deliveries and cleaning it up. And then this was a job where I worked like an insane amount of hours, but I didn't mind because it's the time went by so fast there. Because how like you ever be at work and you're like looking at the clock and you're like, fuck, it's only been 15 minutes since I last looked. I've still got to do something. This job, it was the exact opposite. Like every time I was looking at the clock, I was like, shit, more time has passed, because I was always under time pressure. I always wanted to get stuff done in time, and things it just flew by. The days just flew by. I mean, I had days where it was like 16-hour days, and I didn't feel like I was there long at all. It was a really fast paced job. I wouldn't say I loved the job, but yeah. But anyway, I quit that job after 3 weeks. After intense work. Because yeah, part of it I was sick of doing it, but I wasn't intending to quit. Just because I got in a fight with my manager. I got enough. My manager started yelling at me about some shit. I exploded back at him. Then he started bitching back at me, and then I just said, you know what, I quit. You just close the shop up. And he tried to do one of those things where he was like, you can't quit, you're fired. Too late. I quit. I said it first, man. I win. Um, so that was my first time, and I was actually pretty old by the time that happened. I was like in my mid 20s. So then the next time that I quit at the 3 week mark was well, this time I didn't quit. This time I got fired. I had a job delivering pizzas, which you think you don't have to be smart to deliver pizzas, but it's a hard job to screw up. But I managed to do it, and I screwed up in like the weirdest way possible. This was the weirdest firing I've ever had, or the weirdest any type of job ever. So like that's all the job is deliver pizzas. I thought it would be easy, and the so, so what happened is I I'm I go out to deliver a pizza for well, okay, let's say before this night that I got fired, this really weird thing happened. I delivered a pizza. It was like some rainy afternoon. I think it was a Saturday afternoon, maybe a Sunday afternoon. So I delivered the pizza to the house. I got my money and my tip. I'm walking back to my car, right? And I realized that in between giving them the pizza and by the time I got back to my car, I had lost my car keys. I have no idea how that happened. The car keys were gone. I don't get it to this day. I don't know. They've never turned up, which means this was humiliating enough. I had to call the call the job and say, I've lost my car keys on the job. It has to be the first time this has ever happened to them. And they were like, okay. And I said, so I had to call a tow truck to pick me up from my car, drive me home to get my spare keys, drive me back to my car so I could do it, and then take, the money back to them. So they were shorthanded that whole time, but at least they got their money back. So I was already it was already clear that it wasn't working out. But then one day, right? So I think it's the next week. This was at like the 2 week mark or something. The 2 week mark. I go, and some of these places are really far out there. So it's the first order of the night that are really busy and stuff. I go all the way out there. This is like, a 20-minute drive. Big order, like a big order of these pizzas, and realize I've gone without the pizza. I got all the way there and didn't have the pizza. So I was like, oh my God. So I had to call back and they had to get somebody else. So then when I come back, they're like, okay, they're like, we're going to speak really slowly for you. Here is the one order. Here is the other. This one first, this one second. And I was like, okay. I mean, I was really embarrassed, but I was ready to do it. I was like, okay. And so I, of course, and now remember, I was still new to this area. I immediately get lost delivering the first one. I'm not sure if I got there in time or not. But then by the time I got to the second one, which was on the total other side of the town, and I got lost there too. They're like she's like, oh no, we thought you weren't coming. We didn't deliver. And then the husband, of course, is a Type A personality. He's yelling. He's like, you're an hour late. We already ordered something else. Okay. So at this point, I was like, oh my God. I said, I lost my keys one day. Which is bad enough. Then the first order of the night, I didn't remember the big pizza, and then I got this order wrong. It's over. I'm fired. So I was like, you know what? I can't even face them. I'm just not going to go back, and I'll come back with because you have these like thermal bags to keep the pizza warm. How are we doing for time? You have these thermal bags to keep the pizza warm, and those are worth money, and then there's the money that I still had from like the first pizza delivery that I had to give them. So like, dude, I'll just give them the money later. Meanwhile, apparently they were calling me all this time, but I didn't notice because my cell phone had slipped down on the cushions of my car, and I always kept it on vibrate, so I didn't hear it, and I didn't realize I didn't have my cell phone on me. Obviously, I was really out of it at this point, so I just go home and that's it. But then I realized then all of a sudden the phone rings, and I'm like, once the phone rings, I'm like, oh shit. I realize I left my home phone number as my emergency contact. So that means my mom was going to pick up the phone. So I like rushed down the thermals that I had installed, and I was like, oh shit, like how could this get any worse and stuff like that. So I just, made some bullshit excuse up to my mom. I was just like, oh yeah, the register came up short, and I may have brought up some less, so I'm just going to go and give them their money back and make sure everything's, all okay. So I came back, I gave the thing to the police, and I was like such a basket case. I was like, oh, normally I'm not like this. I'm actually, not such a, spaz or whatever. And, you could tell like there was some girl out front who like worked there. Like she saw me when I pulled up. She started laughing, and I saw her like run in to tell the people that that I was there. They were all laughing at me and stuff. So anyway, then the cop is there, he meets me there, and he's like, yeah, I'll take the bag in with the money. And he takes the bags and the money. He comes back. It's like, okay, first of all, you're fired. You know that, right? And I was like, yeah, I got that. And, again, I was acting like totally like spaz. I was like, I wasn't trying to steal. I wasn't like this. Blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, okay, yeah, you live and learn, bud. It was kind of a type A guy myself. I've never liked cops. Although he was more than fair with me. That was, I mean, it's one thing. It's kind of funny when you look back on it. On the other hand, it was like such a horrible experience that like even like reliving it is just like, man. I mean, to me that was worse than I already told you guys the story about me getting my nose broken the first time. I had it broken a few times, but the first time, that was bad. But that's a story I can kind of look back and say like I learned something, and I don't really care looking back on it. But like looking back on this was like really bad. It was really bad. So that actually though may have been 2 weeks, and that time I didn't really quit. I got fired, although I certainly would have quit had I not been fired, because obviously, delivering pizzas is way beyond me. Obviously, uh, the next time was my first programming job. You guys can tell me what you think if anybody's still watching. Um, so I was down. I had moved to South Carolina from where I live in northern uh, near where I live near Canada. So I moved down to North Carolina. I didn't fly. I drove because I was going to need my car down there, which is a really long drive. And um, so it was my first programming job. Things were not going well there. I was getting a little bit better, but I could tell my manager was getting. This was a weird situation. I was the junior developer there. There was 4 developers, 2 juniors and 2 seniors. But the 2 senior developers were both girls in their like mid 20s. And then there was a guy who was in I think his mid 20s, and then there was me. So I would have been in my early 30s at this time. So I could tell my manager, it's not like we didn't get along or anything. It's she was like getting frustrated with that I wasn't a very good programmer. I completely blew the first assignment they gave me because it was mainly like an HTML CSS thing, and I didn't really know anything about that. I mean, I just bare minimum, so I couldn't really do any HTML and CSS. But things after that first thing, things were improving. I was getting better every day until we hit this one snag that I just could not fix. And I showed it to my manager too, and she couldn't fix it either. She was just as stuck as me. So I'm just there like kind of like, well, what the fuck do I do? I'm sitting there. So anyway, meanwhile, I have a sleep disorder. It's not quite as bad now as it was back then. But back then it was really bad. And so one day I had overslept and I was late. Like I don't know. It was like it was weird because you could choose what time you wanted to start, whether you wanted to start at 8:30 or 9, and I chose 8:30. So I was late, but I was still there before 9 o'clock. And I made up the time. So I understand you can't do that, but it's like it was such a not a big deal, you know what I mean? And like but she the big law boss lady there was like basically said, don't do it again. Don't let it happen again. And so I was like, all right, whatever. You can't do that. I get that. I wasn't late again after that. But so that one day, I'm stuck. We're stuck. Everything is stuck. Can't do anything. Um, I'm working on it. I'm not getting anywhere. I'm sleep deprived because of my sleep disorder. I was still adjusting, and I fell asleep. Just in my chair. I didn't wasn't like head first or anything. I'm just there at my computer, and then without realizing it, because I feel my eyes getting heavier and heavier, and then at some point I just passed out, fell asleep. The next thing I know, my manager's waking me up, and she's like, "Hey, you can't sleep at work, man." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, yeah, sorry." And I get back to work, and whatever. I didn't think anything of it. But then, at some point, she leaves to go, and I can tell she's going to talk to the other, like to the boss lady. But she's going back there all the time, so I wasn't thinking about it. Then she comes back, and then she leaves shortly afterwards. And then she just says, "Oh, what's her name needs to talk to you. Boss lady needs to talk to you before you leave." So I mean, I was like, okay, I didn't know what was going on. And then she says, "Hey, your manager's telling me that you've been drifting off at work." And I'm like, "What? What?" No, I said, "No, no, 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 no. Like this had, I said this happened once. It was a one-time thing, and I'm sorry." And then she was like, she's like, "Well, no, I mean, it's getting reported that's happened once. You've already been late once. You said you overslept, so is there something wrong with you with sleep?" And at this point, I should have said I had a sleep disorder, but I mean, it's not. I mean, it's sometimes I don't even really consider it a sleep disorder. I just have a hard time maintaining a sleep schedule. I don't know if you want to call that a disorder or not. I cannot maintain a sleep schedule. That's it. And when I don't get enough sleep, like when I'm really sleep deprived, I will do things like fall asleep. Like I'll fall asleep driving, even if I'm like sleep deprived enough. But it was just bad timing. I had started the new job and my sleep schedule was still adjusting. Really, this would have been the last day it would have happened. Not that I would have expected her to know this. I should have said this. But anyway, this chick was a fucking bitch anyway. My manager was fine, but the chick who was running it was a fucking bitch. Um, so she's like, "Well, it absolutely can't happen again. So I'm gonna take it. There's gonna be a full resort. There's gonna be a full report to me from your manager, like after tomorrow, and that's that." And I was like, "You said probation? I don't do probation, okay?" And I didn't want to be doing this job anymore anyway. So I was like, "Okay, yeah, I get it." So I felt like my relationship with my manager was broken because here's the thing: is like the boss lady being a super bitch, that's just her being her. But the manager like narking me out like that, like the only reason you would do that is to try to get me fired. And if you're trying to get me fired, it's like then maybe I shouldn't be working there with you. And even to this day, I don't have any bad blood towards her. I don't. But it's like it's more like although I was irritated enough that I was like, "Dude, fuck this shit, man." So I just got my stuff, cleaned it up, and I thanked my other manager. I said, "Thanks for all your help." Before last time because she didn't know it was my last. And then I said to the guy, "Good luck" when I left. So I didn't say anything, but I left all my stuff there. And because no need for like a big to be dramatic, right? I mean, I'd only been there for like it was my third week there. Nobody was gonna care if I left. Um, so then I did have one other thing in my house that like a cord that they had given me on the first day that I needed when I needed to do because this was a really stressful job. You'd have to work and then you'd have to do more work at home. And I had one like cord thing that I needed for I can't remember why. Oh yeah, it was to like test out programs on different devices. So I was like, well, I still need to bring this back because I remember what happened with the pizza fiasco. So I brought that back with a note saying, I am resigning my position effective immediately. Mail my check to, my home address back up north. And they did, 600 some dollars they did. So yeah, no need to, they didn't, but, and the thing is, I came really close to just ghost. If it hadn't been for the fact that I needed to, drop off the cord, I would have just ghosted them. And that would have been, I mean, first of all, it would have been immature, but that's how I was feeling then. But then when they would have had to call for the same reason to make sure I wasn't dead, they would have, again, the emergency contact was my home number. My mom was still alive at the time. She would have picked up and she would have been like, "What do you mean he didn't show up for work?" So, so it's good thing, it's good thing that it happened, that way because it would have been really awkward when I moved back in with her to explain what happened. Um, so yeah, you could even count that as getting fired because they were obviously planning on firing it to me, but I beat them to the punch. Um, the next 3 week thing was my first sales job. So what are we up to? 3 weeks now. It was my next sales job, I'm sorry, my first sales job. I was doing mortgage refinancing, what you call it a loan originator or a loan officer. Um, it was a real culture shock to me. It was my first time doing any sales. And like I mean, I was dealing with a lot of anxiety at the time. At the first thing, like when I first started, I thought this is the most stressed I've ever been in my life. Like I was super stressed about it, and I was doing an awful job. Like I really got off to a bad start there, and that's ultimately what killed me. I could never recover from the bad start. And I burned through a lot of data trying to get these numbers, because what you had to do, the way they work things there, is before you could get any what they called hot leads, you had to work this sheet of cold leads. These are people who they never signed on with our company, but they had at some point in the past, 3 4 months in the past, whatever, you know, sent in for some information about getting their loans refinanced. So you would have to call up these cold leads who have no idea who you are and say, "Hey, you want from this is Ballface 8020 from this mortgage place," and the and it was hard enough to, like, because a lot of times you get people saying, "Wait, did you say your name was Ballface?" And so like it's not a good name to, like, to have in sales. So sometimes I would just say like my name was Fred or whatever. But usually, I mean, usually nobody would say anything. So it'd be like, "This is Ballface 8020 from XYZ mortgage company," and it was, and try to get them to agree to talk to me for a few minutes, give me a bunch of information about their income, their spouse, what their current mortgage is. And I could do that part okay. It took a while for me to figure that out, but I could do that part okay. But what killed me was at the end, part of the process was you had to get their social security number so you could give them you could run a credit check on them to give them a quote. And because you couldn't do it without their social security number. You couldn't give them a quote. It just wasn't possible. But people are not going to give some stranger over the phone. So I mean, well, they were doing it for some people, but they were for me, I was having great conversations building up. And then when I got to the social security question, people were like, "Who are you again? I don't trust you," and stuff. So, but eventually, from hearing, I got like a bunch of conflicting advice from my managers and stuff who were really helpful, but they didn't give great. It took them a while before they really got me on how to do this properly. Eventually, I was able to pick it up and get that. You had to do 5 of those before they would give you the hot leads. So I got the 5 and got the hot leads. I was really good at getting credits. That's what they call them, credits. Is like when you call up and you get them you get the social security number, so you can run a credit report, so you can get them come back to them with an official quote. But the stuff after that is where we started running into problems. There was logistical problems, like it was like craziness, and then what really killed me was this. I had so much going on, I was overwhelmed, and there was this one guy who, because of a mistake that I had made from being new, it was an honest, understandable mistake that I had made. We sent him an offer that it took my manager a long time to prepare, that he was deciding between me and somebody else, and he decided with the other guy, largely because I sent him the wrong offer. Like I sent him an offer that didn't fit with what he said. And again, from inexperience, because I just didn't understand the situation. And my manager was really pissed. He was like, "I spent all this time making this for you, and it got rejected right away." He said, "You got to call him back and get him to give us another chance." And I was like, "There is no chance in hell I'm doing that." This goes back to like what I said about no means no. He was kind enough to talk to me, give me his time, give me a chance. I'm the one who messed it up. He decided to go with somebody else. That's that. I'm not fighting for this guy's business anymore. Period. I am done. I walked off the job at 3 week mark. Got a call on the way home from my manager. He was like, "Yo, Ballface 8020, come on, man. What's the deal? Like, are you just overwhelmed?" Because I was thinking, like you've come a long way. Just come back to work. Just come back to work and finish this stuff off. And I was like, "Nah, man. I've already said, like I've been told no, I'm not doing it. And you guys are telling me, from yesterday, like earlier this week they had gotten mad at me because one day I hadn't made a lot. I'd only made like 30 some calls, And because I had had 2 credits that day, and I was working on other stuff, and I had come in late anyway, which I explained to them, and I was like, I can, you're telling me you want, X amount of calls a day, and outbound calls a day while I do all this, and then you want me to go fight for somebody who's already said me no. I said, I can't do it, and I'm not willing to try, you know? So, no, I mean, I was nice about it. I was like, dude, seriously, like, you've been so patient with me. I've learned so much from you. This is like the only job I've ever had that I feel like is, I didn't just learn about sales in this job, but it actually like learned about life. It made me a better man. You're the best manager I've ever had and stuff, but I don't want to do it anymore. And he was like, cool, I get it. Wish you well. And then that was the end of it. So that was so again, 3 weeks. And then the reason I'm making this video today is because I think we're going to have that 3 week mark again tomorrow. I'm a booking specialist now at this place. Booking specialist is kind of like an appointment setter. So mostly what I do is outbound calls, but although we do some inbounds. And I call people up. This is working from home, by the way. So I call people up and I'm like, usually I'll call, sometimes it's inbound, but I call people up and I'll be like, hey, are you still looking to get out of, this thing you're in? And, usually people don't answer, or they say no, or they say, I've heard it all, but sometimes people are like, yeah. And, I would say that, but the thing is, so then when I have to book them, it's not just them. I have to like, get the information from them, deal with their bullshit objections, because it's always the same thing. So, I mean, some people are pretty cool, but some people are like, well, how much is this going to cost me? It's like, well, I can't tell you that because I don't know. So that's, so that part's easy to explain. Is like, look, it has to go over to the sales agent who's going to look through our proprietary data and come up with a quote for you that he's going to give after your presentation. And they say, well, can you give me a like, ballpark it? I said, I'm not allowed to do that. I can't do that. The only price we're going to give you, we're not going to give you a ballpark. We're only going to give you a firm price. And, but that firm price, that has value to us, And so we need a little commitment from you on the front end to come in and hear us out. Let us explain what we do. And then we'll give you a price. And, we'll answer your questions and stuff like that. And, that may sound easy to do, to say that, and it is, but it takes a toll to do it over and over again. The same fucking thing. And meanwhile, then I've always got, my managers bitching like, oh no, you didn't get the right people on this meeting and stuff like that. Because like when I'm doing sales for my other job, right now I got 2 jobs. When I'm doing sales for my other job, it's just like, like trying to set up a meeting, it'll be like, yeah, okay, are there any other decision makers? Because I'm talking to business owners. And they'll be like, oh, yeah, this person. I was like, okay, well, great. For the call, can we set it up then? And if I can't get them all on then, it's not the end of the world because I'll just do another meeting. Now, maybe that's not the most efficient way to do it, but whatever. But this one, it's like every fucking relevant person needs to be there. Now, getting the deed owners on it, getting the deed owners or whatever, that's the people who are in the contract. That's one thing. But then there could be other people like some daughter who's involved and shit like that. And then so I got to hear shit like, oh, you're not getting the right people there. You're not reading all the stuff out that we have to do. But a lot of these people, I can feel them like I'm boring the shit out of them. They want to get off the phone. I already interrupted their day. They didn't know it was going to take 15 minutes to half an hour. And I'm just worried about losing the call, So, So I'm just, talking to them like, so a lot of the times I'm just like, dude, I'm not going to read all this fine print shit because they're going to hang up on me. And then I'm going to have to explain like why my numbers are so low, and it's like the thing, it's like you're getting hit around, like you have to hit these certain amount of numbers, but then they're like, oh no, you need to be sending all the right people. And then if you're sending all the right people, they're like, well, why are you sending them to web things and not live events? And then if you do the live event, you're like, well, why did you send them to the live event when they were behind on their fees? Stuff like that. And it's like, there's just so, and then if you do all, then if your numbers are low and you don't close, they're going to be like, they're going to pull your calls and they're going to be like, well, why didn't you read out all the shit on the paper? It's like, because I'm feeling it, it's like, I'm going by the feel of the call. Like I'll gladly read anything you put in front of me, but if I feel like I'm losing them and like I'm boring them, I'm going to try to be brief and, respectful of their time. So, the thing is, you can tell I'm done. I'm done. I'm not going to do it anymore. And, like, so I'm interviewing for a new job tomorrow. I just had a really good conversation with them, and I'm expecting I'm going to be offered that job. And assuming I'm offered the job, that's it. I'm quitting tomorrow. I'm going to tell them I'm not doing it anymore. Now I'm gonna offer them no bad blood. You know, they gave me a chance here. They really tried to work with me. I don't. They haven't treated me unfairly or anything. But I'm going to offer to do 2 weeks. But my guess is they're going to say, go fuck yourself. You know, quitting after 3 weeks. You can take your 2 weeks and shove it up your ass. That's my guess is what they're going to say. And I don't blame them. But I'm not doing this shit anymore. Um, this fucking sucks, man. I hate it. I'll take like seriously, man. Seriously, like I'll go work at Burger King or McDonald's. I'm not gonna do this anymore. I mean, because the money is good. If you like, like you gotta your base is pretty high, and then if the people you send to the meeting start closing, you can make like $30 an hour. For a job working from home part time, it's not that bad, right? But it's like, for me, it's not worth it. I'm not saying I'm telling anybody else not to do it, but I understand why not. Like, when I was brought in, I was like, man, they seem to be hiring an awful lot of people. Like, they're constantly hiring people. And I think it's because people are just always quitting or getting fired. I don't know. Like, I came in with four other people, with three other people, a total of four people. They were all black women. Okay, black women, and then me, one white guy. And two of the women quit during training. The training is a 1 week thing. I actually didn't think the training was that bad, but whatever. And two of the women quit during training, and then one, I don't even know when she quit. The other, I just noticed like today that she wasn't on the schedule anymore. So then one quit sometime in it, and then I'm going to be quitting. I hope tomorrow, tomorrow afternoon. So that's what I'm saying. Like, four started, and then a month later, none are left. And then just today, four new people started. I don't know if like the initial group of training was probably like six. We'll see how many are left after a month. If they let me if they ask me to stay on for 2 weeks, and I so hope they don't. Certainly, it would be consistent with the 3 week thing if they didn't. But if they do, I will be curious to see if all four of those people are still on the team. So yeah, that's about me and my 3 week curse. That's all for now, and I'll see you in the next.